Well, here we are. We're finally reaching the end game part of the season, and even though we have a couple of domestic leagues still wrapping up their seasons coming up this weekend, for some reason the Europa League final is in the middle of the day on a Wednesday. So we got to talk about that first. What's happening, everyone? Sam, aka FIFA Brit from Gold Boys, here today to bring you a breakdown of the Europa League final. This is going to be played between Atalanta and Bayer Leverkusen. Both teams have looked absolutely fantastic recently. Obviously, especially Leverkusen, who are yet to fucking lose a game this entire year. But let's give credit where it's due. Atalanta are also a very good team, and this should be, on paper, a very interesting final. So I'm going to break down, let you know who's who on each team, where you want to be looking. Now, I'm going to say this up front. I have not locked anything in for definite right now. I'm going to wait for lineups just because I need to see how these teams are lining up, because that impacts how I want to bet the game, even in a market that might void starters. So, I'm going to let you know all the things I like, and then anything I lock in for sure will definitely, as always, be in my Discord channel in Gold Boys. You can sign up at goldboys.com. Link will be in the description, and I will do my best to get a couple of plays out on Twitter as well. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it is at FIFA Brit. So yeah, let's start on the Atalanta side. So I've mentioned this guy before, but obviously, if you are still somehow unfamiliar with his game, Scamacca is an absolute wagon. The dude has really, especially in the past month or so, has really turned on his shooting boots. He's shooting a lot and he's scoring a lot, which is absolutely fantastic for me as someone who loves to bet shots, but is also, always down to just bet on a goal. Why not, So here's a good angle. Scamacca to score. Atalanta will almost certainly be playing him up top, most likely alongside Charles de Ketelaere. I'm not exactly sure how you say it, but you would know it if you saw it. I usually just call him CDK, much easier to say. He will almost certainly be starting up top alongside CDK, with Koopmeiners playing at attacking mid, but we'll have to see how they line up on the day. So if Scamacca's playing up top, which he almost certainly will be, love him to score. If Atalanta are getting on the board, probably going to be him. Also worth looking at Koopmeiners to score or assist. That is usually around even money. He plays attacking mid. He used to play centre mid, and now much more recently, well, on and off, but especially this season, he started to really own that attacking mid role rather than a centre mid role, so he's much more involved in the attack. I believe he also takes penalties, although they do kind of switch around their penalty taker, so never brilliant to absolutely bank on that. But he's always there. He usually gets a couple of shots off. His shot on target's close to even money, which is always great. So, love Koopmeiners to be involved. If he doesn't get an assist to Scamacca, then he'll probably find himself on the score sheet as well. Also worth looking at CDK himself, the other striker for Atalanta for a shot on target. His shot on target on FanDuel's minus 110. For a striker, that's pretty good value. Finals are usually cagey, but if you can get a striker for a single shot on target at almost even money, that's very, very hard to turn down. Even though Scamacca is going to be drawing a lot of attention, that could always leave more room for CDK to get a shot off. And at that point, you just got to hope he gets somewhere near the goal. On the Leverkusen side, we've talked about Leverkusen all season. These guys absolutely fantastic. Still a bit of a question mark about who's going to be starting at striker. Boniface could be, but you could also see a guy like Patrick Schick starting up top. Both of them are great. Honestly, whoever starts in that striker position, they're going to be shooting a lot, and they will most likely score. Leverkusen just love running things through that center of midfield, but it's also great because they have so many great options on the width as well. So whoever's starting up top, love them for a goal. But I think my favorite prop on the Leverkusen side would absolutely be Florian Wirtz to score or assist. Dude just won Player of the Season in the Bundesliga, which, to be fair, probably should have gone to Harry Kane, because the dude scored 38 goals and had 9, maybe 10 assists. We're talking almost 50 here, and he somehow didn't get Player of the Season just because Munich was shit, I guess. That feels kind of harsh. Harry Kane really had a fantastic debut season. Even though he was expected to do really well, he absolutely smashed his expectations. I don't think anyone was expecting him to push for Lewandowski's goal scoring record in his first season. So feels like he kind of got robbed for player of the season there. But at the end of the day, Florian Wirtz won it, and he's playing in this final. And you can get his to score an assist. Again, almost close to even money. If this guy isn't passing, he will probably score. He is a very, very talented guy. Madrid are probably going to sniff him. That sounded weird, but that's just what I call a team interested in a player in like a transfer rumor. They're just like, sniffing around. I guess that's a thing you don't really use in America. It's a very British thing, so it sounds weird on paper. The more I think about it, it sounds more and more weird. But yeah, he's probably going to go to Madrid. If he doesn't go this summer, which I don't think he will go this summer, because they're signing Mbappe, most likely, so that's a big deal. In 2025, Florian Wirtz got to be a massive target for Madrid. He's a fantastic young player, one of the best young talents in Europe. Plays for this Leverkusen side, plays really fucking well in this Leverkusen side. And yeah, to score or assist, that might be one of my favorite props in this entire game, because Leverkusen are almost certainly going to find a goal here, and if they do, it's going to be through some kind of Florian Wirtz contribution. Looking on their threats on the outside that I mentioned earlier, their wingbacks are Grimaldo and Frimpong. Grimaldo takes free kicks. That's a massive, massive benefit if you're betting shots on target. And Frimpong, dude just loves to roam forward. He runs up and down that right-hand side like no man's business. Sometimes he even sort of drifts into like a right wing role, which frankly is even better because I love this guy. So you can get either of their shots on target for very close to even money as well. I believe they're both around -110. Great value, especially on Grimaldo, who is going to be taking those set pieces. And if Leverkusen win a free kick from like just outside the box, that's Grimaldo's bread and butter. Dude's shot on target was a wagon all year. The books did finally adjust, but now we finally get a much more bettable price because we're playing in a final. Expect it to be much more cagey. So yeah, give me those nice prices all day long. If you're looking for something a little bit spicier, if you're like me and you love first half shots, a couple of guys you might want to look at. DDK, who I mentioned earlier. The guy doesn't shoot that much, but he's had a couple of games recently where he took 3 shots in the first half, and he's always at like very close to plus 17, 18, almost plus 2,000 odds to get 3 first half shots. The shot volume does usually come from Scamacca and occasionally from Koopmeiners, but if the ball comes to CDK, he's going to rip the ball. So it's worth looking at that. It's a very high risk, high reward. Good chance he doesn't take any. Maybe he scrapes 1. But if he's in a shooting mood, he will get a couple off, and the value is always really nice, especially considering the guy plays up top. So anytime you get nice value on first half shots on a striker, really hard to ignore that. On the Leverkusen side, like I mentioned earlier, Florian Wirtz, he is not really a massive volume shooter, but again, like CDK, he's either getting none, and he's going to be playing facilitator, or he's getting 2 or 3, and the value is usually really nice. For him to get 3, it's usually closer to like 10 to 1. We're talking like plus 800, plus 900, maybe plus 1,000. But for a guy that's playing as a, essentially as an inside forward in that 3-4-2-1 that Leverkusen run, usually plays with like that left inside forward, that's really good value. Because if he's going to shoot, he's probably going to shoot a lot. If he's not, you kind of just have to accept that and move on. It didn't work. That's fine. And if you want a really, really, really spicy option, Granit Xhaka first half shots. Now, sometimes he doesn't shoot at all. You're going to have to be prepared for that. He plays center mid. But if there's anyone that loves to pull up from like 30, 40 yards out and just have a fucking rip, it's Xhaka. If his first shot, just to get 1 shot in the first half, is above even money, which to my knowledge it is, that could be a really sneaky look because he will shoot from literally anywhere. So if you're feeling a little spicy, feeling a little risky, love the value on that as well. Now, I've just mentioned a bunch of player props, which might make you think I think this game is going to be high scoring, high shooting. I'm just going to say that now. I like the value on these, but I wouldn't recommend taking absolutely all of them because, unfortunately, most finals, especially big European finals, usually trend under. Teams are much more risk averse. They don't want to be the first team to concede. They're usually playing it safe, and so we usually see unders. We might see more shots because if someone does score, especially if they score early, now that becomes a necessity for the other team to get back into the game. And if you get an early goal that could blow your under wide open because the other team has to attack, which means that they're either going to score or they're going to be really vulnerable in the back and the other team's going to score again. So usually that doesn't happen, but it's always a chance that it can blow your under really early if there is an early goal. But for the most part, finals usually trend under to a very significant degree. Now, that doesn't mean I would take under 2.5, even though that is the total goals line for this game. The way I would potentially approach it would be under 3.5 total goals and Leverkusen to lift the cup. Because here's how this works. Firstly, I don't know if I've said this before, Leverkusen are yet to lose a fucking game this entire season. Now, that's why Leverkusen to lift the cup is like minus 270, because that really gives you the option to, you can cash it in regular time, you can cash it in extra time, you can cash it on pens. But I don't see 4 goals, unless we get like a ton of goals early, like I just said, I don't see 4 goals happening in regulation. And this is very, very important to remember. Unless you're betting to lift the cup, all of your props are dead by the time the whistle blows after 90 minutes and any added time at the end. So if you bet under 3.5 goals, which is what I'm about to recommend for my official lean for this game, if it ends 1-1 and then somebody wins 3-1 in extra time, that doesn't blow your under. Even though there were 4 goals in the game, only 2 goals happened in regulation. And all bets, apart from to lift the cup, unless it specifically states in that sportsbook otherwise, it's all for regulation. So my official lean for this game is under 3.5 total goals and Leverkusen to lift the cup. That is minus 109 on FanDuel, and I really like that. I don't see a massive shootout with loads of goals between these two teams. And at the end of the day, whether it's in regulation, whether it's in extra time, whether it's in a penalty shootout, I see Leverkusen doing this because they are yet to lose this entire year. So it's really hard to go against that and fade them in their biggest game so far of the season. So that's my official lean for this game. Again, I have not locked anything in for sure, but if I do lock anything in officially, it will be in my Discord channel in Gold Boys, and I will do my best to share a play on Twitter as well. If you aren't following me already, it is at FIFA Brit. As always, if you do think you have a gambling problem, don't forget to call the number 1-800-GAMBLER. And yeah, if you aren't subscribed to our YouTube channel, go ahead, do that right now. Click the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and make sure you are ready for any videos coming in the future, because we'll be covering MLS, we'll be covering the last weekend of domestic European football, or soccer if you're American, coming this weekend, and of course the Champions League final. So stay tuned for videos on those as well. And yeah, best of luck with all your bets. Let me know what your favorite bet for this Europa League final is. Let me know in the comment section below. And yeah, catch you in the next one, guys.